I thought Ronan did a great job. Setting the bar pretty high for me. Thanks a million. Gamani diaghib. Agus we're géad míle fáilte chuig an ócáid fear special in Sharmaiden, agus muid de cellera le chéile go rádam heachta náisiúnta na haireachta. So good morning everybody, and you're very welcome to this year's National Heritage Awards. I'm Sheila Shoig. I'm delighted to be back as your host. I was with you last year in an equally beautiful venue down the country. We were in Offaly, but we're here in the capital. Some people would dispute me saying that. We're here in Dublin, of course, in the stunning Kilmainham Chapel. It's really, really gorgeous. I was having memories actually of my last time here. It was a number of years ago. We were hosting a wellness event here, and I was running a yoga class in the room that you're going to be having your lunch in, and we were doing meditations in here. So this will be an equally chill morning, I hope, but also a celebratory one. So we'll be celebrating the amazing work that you guys are doing in your communities across the country. We're so thrilled to have you here with us today, our brilliant nominees. We also have some of the National Heritage Week partners present with us as well, along with sponsors of some of the awards. And a big hello and welcome to those of you who are joining us online as well. It's wonderful that we have this feature again this year. So 2024 saw the public embrace National Heritage Week as much as ever before. Individuals and communities responded with great enthusiasm to this year's theme of connections, roots and networks, taking the opportunity to explore how we connect to each other and the connections that bring us together. So today's awards will be showing some short clips of the shortlisted projects that you guys have been involved with. And to begin this morning's event, please put your hands together for the CEO of the Heritage Council, Virginia Tehan.
Thank you, Sheila. Good morning, everybody. And to those here in person and to those joining us online, a very warm welcome to the 2024 National Heritage Week's award ceremony. Today, I'm pleased to be talking to you from the Royal Hospital Kilmainham. Thank you for joining us this morning for this really very special ceremony. For National Heritage Week 2024, the Heritage Council invited individuals, communities and organisations to develop projects centred around the theme of communities, roots and networks. Project organisers were invited to develop something new or revisit or build on a heritage project that they had already worked on. Formats, as always, varied from online talks or exhibitions to videos, podcasts, PowerPoint presentations, blogs or media coverage, a dedicated website or social media account, or the most popular in-person events. And it was a huge success. This year, over 2,300 events took place, and that represents a 25% increase on last year. We had 1,848 projects in total. And what makes it so important today is that we are here recognising the individuals and communities right across Ireland who preserve, protect and celebrate our heritage. Our approach to the coordination of National Heritage Week was inspired by the Council of Europe's European Heritage Days. In delivering National Heritage Week, we asked organisers to adhere to the theme of connections, roots and networks, and this is understood to be both diverse and inclusive. It is noted that many of the projects organised in 2024 rested on the shared theme of heritage by and for everyone. The expectation is that this theme will pervade in future years, ensuring that we have a much more inclusive and diverse participation in Heritage Week and indeed in all our work. In addition, alignment with the vision and expectation on inclusive heritage is similar to that expressed by our parent department, the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, and is especially important for those of us working in the sector and helping the department to deliver the National Heritage Plan, Heritage Ireland 2030. National Heritage Week continues to be one of the most important initiatives in Ireland, where communities, interest groups, heritage sites, cultural institutions and others open their doors, real or imagined, to adults and children, and at no cost. And to me, Heritage Week is a demonstration of community. It's where we pass knowledge, emotion and interest to our young, where we remind adults to take a breath and reflect on what we live, where we live and what we value. By hosting these awards, the Heritage Council is recognising the value that we place on heritage. This is something that cannot be expressed in monetary terms, but has an impact that resonates beyond Heritage Week itself. At the Heritage Council, we know that we must continue to support you, to encourage you, and most importantly, to acknowledge and thank you. Today, we will celebrate the winners and the runners-up. And I must say that the runners-up, their work is equally as important as the winners, because you must understand that in all competitions there can only be one winner, but to reach even the grade of runner-up requires a significant demonstration of expertise, of investment, of something that is of quality. So we celebrate all those participants in today's event. And before leaving today, I would also like to thank and acknowledge some other people who support us in the delivery of National Heritage Week. Firstly, our partners, Fáilte Ireland, the Irish Landmark Trust, the National Lottery, the Local Authorities Water Programme, the Office of Public Works, RTE Supporting the Arts, the Heritage Officer Network, the Irish Times, the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, and the local authorities across the island who have been great partners to us in the delivery of Heritage Week and many other programmes in which we engage. These organisations are key in helping the Heritage Council share all the wonderful built, natural and cultural heritage projects that make National Heritage Week what it is. The partners are also invaluable in that they provide resources for project organisers as they develop and deliver their projects. I also want to specifically thank our award sponsors, the Local Authority Waters Programme and the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth. At the county level, National Heritage Week is coordinated by the Local Authority Heritage Officers and also the Local Authority Biodiversity Officers. Their colleagues also within the local authorities help and support all of you, particularly the community groups and individuals at local level who work so hard to share your passion and commitment for heritage. I wish to thank all of them for their support throughout the year and for their continued professionalism. As Martina will mention, we have a special award this year, a new award, Gradam Dúchas Mícheál Murrahurty, and I'd like to personally extend my thanks to the Murrahurty family for their engagement with us when we approached them about naming this new award after their father, the late Mícheál Murrahurty, who has been an extraordinary contributor to the world of Irish cultural heritage, not only around sporting, but really around placemaking. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure for us to have Angus and Aideen Murrahurty with us today. Sheila Shoiga, who is well known to all of you, has again agreed to host this event. And I'd really like to thank Sheila for her support for heritage. Indeed, she does much work to promote heritage outside her work with us. And as do many of her colleagues across the broadcast media, particularly colleagues in Nationwide and Sunday Miscellany, who have worked with us on National Heritage Week. Today's event, nor National Heritage Week, does not happen by accident. It requires huge coordination, planning, and at times a bit of crisis management. I want to acknowledge the work and professionalism of the team at the Heritage Council under the leadership of Pierce O'Keefe. And I want to say a special word of thanks to my colleagues Ronan Healy, who has continued on from last year as National Heritage Week Coordinator, and also I wish to acknowledge Martina Malone, who cheerfully does an awful lot of the heavy lifting in the background, as do many other colleagues in Kilkenny, and they ensure the smooth coordination and delivery of National Heritage Week. I would also like to take the opportunity to extend a thank you to Dr. Martina Maloney, the chairperson of the Heritage Council. Martina's commitment to heritage is well known. It is great to have her here today, and I wish to thank her for all her work on behalf of the Heritage Council. And indeed, we're very lucky to have a wonderful council who guide us in the delivery of our strategy. The council members are voluntary members. They're required to put a lot of time and effort into their work as members of a state board and to take on a lot of responsibilities. And I'm certainly really grateful to Martina and all the members of the council for their support for all of us who work at the council. Today, we are supported by an excellent production team here at the Royal Hospital Kilmainham, and we'd like to acknowledge their work in making this a successful event, and indeed to acknowledge the team at the Irish Museum of Modern Art. This is the first event that has been held in this venue since it was refurbished, and I twisted Annie Fletcher's arm, the director, to allow us to be here this week, and we're grateful to the team for speeding up maybe some of the snag list and helping us be here today. It's a beautiful venue and appropriate that we should support our colleagues in the cultural institutions and indeed bring people into these really special heritage sites. Finally, I would like to thank all of you for being here today, for your attendance, for your interest and your support for heritage. Thank you for your time and for your passion. I hope you enjoyed today's ceremony and I appreciate all that you do. Gurv Mila Mahagov Galer.
That was gorgeous, Virginia. Thank you so much for that heartfelt opening address. Okay, let's begin with the awards. As Ronan mentioned earlier, we will have 8 in total, and this includes the Heritage Hero Award, which last year was such a beautiful moment in the room, and I have no doubt that today's hero will bring about the same energy and warmth from everyone here. So a quick reminder again how it's going to work. So we're going to start each category with a video of the 3 shortlisted finalists, and the winner will be announced. They'll join us on stage, they'll collect their award, their certificate. Alf, our photographer, will take a few photos. I'll have a quick word with them. Off you can go to relax. And after that, once again, it's really important for us to stress that in no particular order we'll be announcing the runners-up. They'll join us on stage one at a time to collect their certificate. Once again, a few more photos, and off they go. And on the process will go until we're at the end of the awards ceremony. And presenting the awards today, we'll have Virginia Tehan, the CEO of the Heritage Council, and Martina Maloney, Chair of the Heritage Council, who will be joining us for the presentations. So the themes of National Heritage Week are reflected in many of the award categories. We're going to start with the nominees in the Inclusive Award. The Inclusive Award is an award to celebrate those organisers that design events for maximum involvement of community members. It's awarded to an event that made a very special effort to share heritage with everybody in the community, including those who are new to heritage, those who don't have local roots, or those who have additional accessibility needs. Such an important category. So let's take a look at the nominees in the Inclusive Award. winner of the Inclusive Award for 2024 is Travelling Tales, community-led traveller heritage work by Cork Traveller Women's Network. Congratulations. You get out to take a few photos, a little bit chat. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Well done. Congratulations, our first winner of the day. So talk to us about the inspiration behind your particular project.
Very good. Thanks very much. Can I just say it's an absolute honour on behalf of the Cork Traveller Women's Network to get this award today. The Cork Traveller Women's Network have an amazing team of Cork Traveller women that are absolutely so passionate about their traveller culture. So I suppose the inside of this project was for Heritage Week. We do a lot of different projects around heritage, and we have a great relationship with the heritage workers. And I suppose it's about sharing our culture with different cultures. So I suppose it's a huge insight to our culture. So I suppose as travellers, I suppose we face a lot of different difficulties within our community. So it's about sharing that history, values, and I suppose the traditional campsites is about sharing that. We have a great partnership with the Cork City Public Museum, and we have that. And we have a real life-size wagon and a cultural room. So that particular week, we invited many different people from the community in, and we had a traveller talk all about traveller history to give an insight of our traveller culture, about traditional campsites, about up-to-date modern traveller life, and also it's very, very important to us as members of the travelling community to share our culture, and also for our younger generation to come up, to instill a sense of pride for the younger generation to come up, you know. So we're absolutely honoured to receive this Pride Award today, so thanks very much.
Well done and well said. Our first winner today, the Cork Traveller Women's Network. Well done. And thank you to Virginia and Martina. So that's what we'll do with every award. We'll start with our winners in the category. We'll take the few photos, then Virginia and Martina can sit down and I'll have a quick chat with the winner, and on we'll go. So now we're coming on, of course, to our runners-up, and again, in no particular order. Please give a round of applause to Good Day Cork for their event, Living Heritage Documentary. Well done. Done. And let's now meet our next runners up. They are the Athenry Castle OPW for their event, Do You Have a Nose for History? So there we go. We have our winners and, of course, the runners-up in our first award. We're moving on now to our second award of the day. This is the Sustainability and Climate Award, and it's given to the event or project that best demonstrated a very special effort to incorporate environmentally friendly practices to reduce our carbon footprint and impact on the natural world, are an event that provided education on the impact of climate change and good sustainability practice, and we all know how important this work is now more than ever. Let's take a look at the nominees. Wonderful nominees there, but of course there can only be one winner, and the winner of the Sustainability and Climate Award is Cún Bill Weekend of Marine Heritage, themed events on Kinvara Quay by Cún Bill. Wonderful, thank you, and well done, the winner of our Sustainability and Climate Award. So talk to us about your project, because this is really important work that all of you are doing, I mean in every single category, but we all know how important it is. We've been hearing about it for years, but we're at crisis point. We really need to make proper, important change, don't we?
So Cruinniú na Mod, which the Cún Bill Weekend was part of, is in its 45th year now of the tradition of the Galway hookers and the route across Galway Bay of that kind of transport route, I suppose. So Cún Bill was set up 7 years ago and was really looking at re-establishing the connection between people, place, especially the marine environment. So we're involved in oyster restoration and education programs in that regard. And at Cruinniú na Mod, our particular focus is, so we do cookery demonstrations, and those are all local, either food producers or local food restaurateurs. We have kind of workshops on seaweed foraging, and other elements, so a panel discussion on things like flood relief, water quality, and nature-based solutions. So we're trying to tap into different interests of the communities in terms of what may be affecting them, so perhaps flood relief, water quality issues, or even the need to have nature-based solutions. And there's other elements such as marine heat waves, seagrass beds. So we're really just appealing to different people's interests and giving them, opportunities to do something about it. There's a great, we're blessed in Cún Bill with such an energizing and engaged group of volunteers and community members and collaborators. At the festival, we had several stalls from Kinvara and Galway itself on tidy towns, plastic-free living, all sorts of natural and cultural heritage. So it's really tapping into different people's interests and giving them something that they can do.
Good on you. Amazing work being done. Well done. Our winner, Cún Bill, in the Sustainability and Climate Awards. And we'd now like to invite our runners-up on stage. First up, we have Cork Nature Network for their event, Beaumont Blitz. Okay, and our next runners-up are Natural Biodiversity Data Centre along with Galway City Council for their event Wild Bee Festival 2024. Well done. And of course, Iseult there, probably, I'm safe to say, probably the youngest winner here today. So fantastic work being done. Well done, guys. Now we're moving on to the Irish Language Award. Denan an grad an gaeilge cellere an gaeilge. Bruntar an gradam se an imacht nu an tonscadal a hála trí gaeilge nu a sprág ránfáirtíocht nu gníomhíocht in gaeilge. Caham with súlanis in himachtaí a cuidiú an jaarliste sa cheatagóir seo, planar seo. Seanbóitir ná an ranóg aireachta cóirle chundaí muoinechan le na himimecht in search of argéile thóir argéile. Có háirdecha slíomh. Có háirdecha slíomh, cé a gur caint? Okay, so cén fáil ra se tábhachtach sói an imeacht seo a chuid le chéile trí gaeilge?
Well, mar gaeilgeoir bín saola bhéarla gcónaí ar timpairt agus náia is sin an gaeilg bunchlach éireacht na tíre seo agus mar sin dá cheapmaid gur bhór an rodéide seoirt a gaeilgeirí a bheith gach páirtin san teachtain seo.
Agus bhfuil se tábhachtach a bheith stói siomra mar seo agus a fáil an gradam agus an aitheantas seo.
Tá sin fér. Agus caiith mar tá neart géilge in neiscartála tá neart géilge leortha agus scór agus ceartaí go míú imachtaí trí géilge.
Go dtíre é?
Agus is tíróin agus muna hena bhíide chéile san tógar seo agus bhí sin tábhachtach go máid.
Well, perfect. Go háirdecha slíomh, buitirí gradam gaeilge neamh, aontaich ar fad gur míle mágaí. So go háirdechas a dí slíomh agus inis in éon áit ar le se chéad grúpa sa darna háit ná cóirle phobal baile an bholainn agus a grúpa aireachta baile an bholainn le na himimecht Harmony and Heritage a Milltown Tribute. Nis níl an dara grúpa linn ach tá muid gailí seáil ar dús ar státe, tarn seo, fair play raibh. Well done to the Milltown Community Centre, go háirdechas líb, agus níl an darna grúpa linn inneamh, a fuid an tógra filmtar agus cultar alla CTR le na himimecht féile sevris wacra ráirtaí ach go háirdechas lób siúd chomá. Okay, the Heritage Council was very pleased again this year to partner on 2 awards. Our next award is the Wild Child Award, sponsored by the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth Affairs. And I'd like to welcome on stage, she's making her way to the stage already, the representative Nicole Kiernan to announce the winner in this category. Thank you so much, Nicole. Great.
Thanks so much, Sheila. I'm delighted that the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth had the opportunity to be involved in National Heritage Week by sponsoring the Wild Child Award. The Wild Child Award is presented to the event or project that most successfully encourages children and families to get outdoors and explore their local heritage and to learn about biodiversity. Wild Child embodies the sentiment of the first 5 whole of government strategy to improve the lives of babies, young children and their families, and building strong and supportive communities, encouraging optimum physical and mental health and promoting positive play-based early learning. This year's Wild Child projects were assessed on their local reach and community engagement, awareness raising, use of resources and the level to which they involved all the different age groups. There were without doubt a number of worthy contenders for the award, and all of those involved should be extremely proud of their projects. Congratulations sincerely to all of those involved. Here's a short video of the entries to this category. This year's winner ran a really fun, family-friendly event where children and their families discovered or rediscovered out the outdoors together. During the event, the group unveiled a new river sign in the woods, followed by an exploration of the secret life of the river with Greg Roach from the local authority Waters and Community Programme. I'm pleased to announce that the winner of the Wild Child Awards 2024 is the Adair River and Biodiversity Development Group for their event, Take a Walk on the Wild Side.
Congratulations and well done. Who wants to be the representative? Your good self. Okay, Kathy. Fab. Let's talk about, your work with kids, because just be careful there, because that stage it kind of runs off the edge. No, you're fine. So working with kids can be really rewarding and challenging. So how did you go about your particular project?
I think the important thing was to bring your inner child and to remember what it was like as a child to splash and splish in the river and catch pink geens and just go through the woods and explore all the little leaves and pine cones and just basically look at nature all around. And I think with the event, it was all about having fun. And that's the most important thing. And to see grannies and granddads and mammies and daddies, along with the children, having as much crack as the children themselves. And I think at the end of the day, we all went away with very happy memories.
And isn't that the thing you've just tipped into there, that it's so important for all of us to see things through the eyes of a child? I mean, it's actually been proven scientifically that's actually really good for all of us anyway. But you see that wonder and innocence and beauty and be very present. It's really mindfulness in action, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I think really and truly the children get it. Yeah. And when we go into schools or we're down on the beach and we have just watching the wonderment and awe with them. And it's so wonderful. And you hope that you're sowing seeds that they're going to carry on in looking at minding their rivers and all their natural environment.
Wonderful, really important work. And I suppose they are our greatest teachers. So Iseult, you're teaching all of us here and her pals, you know what I mean? We have to look to them for inspiration. Well done. Our wonderful winners. Congratulations, guys. Okay, let's invite now our first runners up on stage. Again, in no particular order, we have St. Mullins Heritage and Tourism Group for their project From Wilderness to Wonderment on Wild Child Day. We got there. Okay, our next runner-ups are St. Canice's Cathedral for their event Wild Child Day Treasure Hunt. Okay, thank you, Nicole, and well done again to all our winners, the main winner and our runners-up. Our next award is the Water Heritage Day Award. We'd like to invite Margaret Morrissey for the Local Authority Waters Programme, LawPro, who are a partner of National Heritage Week and, of course, kindly sponsored this award. Thank you so much, Margaret.
LawPro and the Local Authority Waters Programme, we're delighted again this year to partner with the Heritage Council for Water Heritage Day and for this award. The theme this year of connections, roots and networks fits very nicely in with what we're trying to do with our work on rivers, streams and all the water bodies across the country. Every year, Water Heritage Day is a really important day in the calendar of the communities teams across the country. And this year we were delighted to have funded and supported over 90 events, all probably worthy of an award in some shape or form. And every year there's a growing interest, I suppose, and a growing diversity of the types of projects that we support and fund, which is wonderful to see. And it's great to see the growing interest in our water heritage. So I think the next thing I have to do is just say the nominees for the Water Heritage Day Award are as follows. And the winner is Folly Tales and Treasure Trails by the Ballycumber Tidy Towns.
Brilliant. Perfect. Well done. Perfect. No, Perfect, yeah. Who'd like to speak? Okay, wonderful. Let's talk about the theme, I suppose, the theme this year, and how you brought it into your own water event.
Well, I suppose the theme was actually a brilliant one for our community because we have a beautiful river running through our village and it connects Clara, Ballycumber, Pulla and Ferban. And I suppose we have a bridge that runs through in each village and town. And we came up with the idea to design a flag that we could fly at the bridges. And we wanted to, I suppose, include the kids in the local community. So we did workshops with 4 groups. And they came up with a design. And then on the day, we had a cool eco-community. And we wanted to celebrate our biodiversity as well. So they did a foraging workshop. And we also had Law Pro there as well. A brilliant group to work with, Law Pro. And yeah, it was amazing. We're so delighted. We're thrilled to receive the award. I want to thank Amanda and Karen that are here today for all their support on the event.
Oh, well done. You can just tell everybody is delighted. It's lovely to be recognised like this, isn't it? Makes it all worthwhile when you're putting all your energy into something, and then to get recognised like this, it's important, isn't it? So well done. You want to say something?
It was just a whole community event as well, because we had local storytellers. We had people from each community to sing a song that was relevant to them about the Brosna, like Brownie Gangan from Ferban, he wrote a song about the Brosna, the Bridge of Ballycumber. We had entertainers from each group, and we presented all the local, or each tidy towns with a flag to hang on their bridge. But apart from that, to see the joy in the kids' face when the LAPRO were doing the water experiments and you know, the foraging and actually tasting the herbal tea that was made afterwards, the kids were just, and this man's company, Eddie's company, they sponsored a little kit, like, you know, an explorer's kit, so they had little magnifying glass and everything. And
pure magic for them. Pure magic. Well done, guys. Really important work. Our wonderful winners. Congratulations. Fair play to you. He had an operation on his knee only a few weeks ago. Isn't he? Not a bother coming up on the stage. Fantastic. Okay, our first runner-up on stage for this award, again in no particular order, is Lochrie Access for All and Herbert Farrell for their event, Inishclaren Academic Tour. And our next runners-up are Waterways Ireland, the Heritage Boat Association, HBA, and the Inland Waterways Association of Ireland for their event, A Boatman's Journey, navigating the heritage of the Grand Canal through the eyes of a boatman. Okay, wonderful. Congratulations to all our winners and our runners-up so far. The Heritage Council aims to support events and projects across the country, and one way of acknowledging people's contribution is through the County Award. This award category celebrates an exceptional event or project from every participating local authority that took place as part of National Heritage Week. So we've compiled this short video with all of the County Award winners, which gives a really good sense of what National Heritage Week is all about. Take a look at this. sé sin all-in ar fad idir óg agus éistan sin ar fud na tíre ceilure le chéile. It was just wonderful to see every single photo. Everybody was just beaming, weren't they? You know, that sense of community and connection that you get from organising these events. Such diverse projects being run across the country. This is such important stuff, especially, I suppose, to instil in the younger generation, and so many wonderful people leading the way and being amazing role models. So I just tip my hat to you all and the fantastic work that you're doing across the country. I really think it's amazing. Okay, let's move on now with our next award. So this year, we're seeing a brand new award added to the roster of national categories. So last month, the Heritage Council announced that the Míal Ó Murchártaí was going to be celebrated, which was no surprise, as he is so intertwined with cultural heritage in this country. This award is given to an event or a project that encouraged a greater appreciation of an element of our intangible cultural heritage, including crafts, skills, customs and practices. And what can I say about Míal Ó Murchártaí? Well, he was synonymous with the GAA, an integral part of our national cultural heritage. He was a wonderful native Irish speaker who recognised the importance of preserving and sharing our cultural heritage. And simply put, he was a national treasure, agus ní bheidh a leithead i dtí seán. So the Heritage Council is absolutely delighted to honour him and his family with this very special award. And here's a short video sharing his background and legacy to our cultural heritage.
A seanachil in Irish, escá chéile bharn na daoine, that everybody needs everybody else. And that's the way when it came to the big days of work. I always look forward to the days of what we call unmehel. It might be a big day bringing all the hay. There was no silage in my younger days. All the hay would be in the field in small, what we call wines of hay. Come a certain day then, they'd all be brought to the haggart and built into a huge stack or cock of hay that would be as high as any hotel you'd see in Dublin or anywhere. At least one person from every house would come helping. That's the spirit of the Mehel, and it created, if you like, a greater community sense, a sense of community. And the first time I ever heard the radio, it must have been an All-Ireland final. I wouldn't be too sure, was it 1938 or 39? And the kitchen was full and there were people outside the kitchen. But what stayed in my memory, that one man, Mikey Sheehy, he lived in the house. He was in charge of it, and nobody else would dare put their hand on it even. 'Twas he would twiddle the knobs if the sound was going off, and he'd be very delicately handling it and so on, in case he'd do anything that would cause the sound to disappear. And to me it was a marvellous contraption.
As I said, we have listeners all over the world, and we have listeners at home as well, and one is Nellie O'Connor from Blarney, 95 years of age. She attended the Thunder Lightning final of 1939.
The incredible voice and spirit of Míal Ó Murchártaí, yeah. We're very lucky today, and I have no doubt that it's not an easy thing to do, to be listening and watching your dad speak when he's no longer here. So we're very, very lucky to have Míal's family with us today. So to announce the nominees, and le cúpla focail rá faoin na Yáide, chuirigh uair lámha le chéile leabhar del go Édaoin Ó Murchártaí.
A chuoine úsle, is mór an ordúing fad go mé an gradam nua seo gradam dúchais á bhronne grúpaí is spreagan gnéithe éagsúla den chultúr den éireacht agus chuoine a chothíon nósanna agus scileanna tradiisiúnta. We're really honoured and very grateful that this new award will be presented, the Gradam Dúchais, and that it will be presented in honour of our father, Míal Ó Murchártaí. Cha dad a héil a pléile cuasaí sport, cuasaí éireachta agus cuasaí tanga. And his interest in sport is well known, but he was also a huge advocate for all elements of culture, of language and of heritage in the broadest sense of the word. So it's lovely that that legacy is continuing on in his name in this award. Before I announce the winner, I'd like to tell you about 3 events that were shortlisted for this award. There was the Maharees Conservation Association in Kerry that organised a wonderful currach making demonstration celebrating a very valuable part of our living cultural heritage. There was also the Lemonaghan Bog Heritage and Conservation Group from Offaly, who have celebrated the unique heritage of the bog, the area's rich history, folklore, religious significance, and the ongoing conservation efforts, and also shortlisted the Meath Traveller Workshop, who organised a living history exhibition featuring a traditional traveller barrel-top wagon, campfire, shelter tent, tinware display, bread tasting, flower making and storytelling. So a beautiful, diverse sense of the events and the skills, the traditional pastimes, the crafts that all go on during Heritage Week. So here now is a short video showing some of these activities that the 3 groups had. This award, as you may have seen, was actually already presented, but we're going to do it again today. So the winner is the Maharees Conservation Association, and they're here with us today. The O'Leary family are the 5th generation of skilled boat makers from the area, and they presented how the currach was made and told locals and visitors alike all about the history and the importance of the naveog, or the canoes as they're called locally.
Congratulations. Well done. So let's talk about currach making. It's such a beautiful and inherently Irish skill. How important it is to keep it alive.
It's hugely important in Maharees. We are so honoured, first of all, I have to say, to be the first recipients of this absolutely so special award. And we want to thank Micheál Murray Hertwig's family as well. But for us, a small little coastal community, I suppose, to get an opportunity to showcase such an important tradition and part of our heritage in Maharees, where, I mean, the canoe has always been a part of life in Maharees, going right back to taking the animals out to the island and fishing, and now they're still used to, today, the fishermen take the canoe from the pier out to their modern boats, as we call them. But just to be able to showcase Monty, his family are 5th generation currach canoes, as we call them, currach makers. So Monty is the 3rd generation. His granddad Mort would have, started the tradition. So just to be able to showcase that and show everybody how it's made and the importance of it, and
keeping it alive.
Yeah, it's very important, because Mikey is the youngest now in here, and he's now making his own canoes. So it's really.
So we can get on to Mikey if we want currach made. He's the man. Great. It's amazing what you're doing. You're fantastic. Well done. Put your hands together for our winners, the Maharees Currach Making Conservation Association. Well done. Well done to our winners there, and gur míle maithid éidí na chumáin. Ní raibh sé sin éasca ach tá muid fíorhuíoch grotúin seo agus an ná a bheith labhairt faoi the ads and this very, very special event. So thank you guys so much for being with us. Okay, our next runners-up are Le Monaghan Bog Heritage and Conservation Group for their event, Le Monaghan Stories, Tales of Tradition, Roots and Connections. And our next runners-up are the Meads Traveller Workshop for their event, Traveller Living Heritage. Well done. Brilliant. Congratulations and well done once again to all our winners and runners-up. We only have 2 awards left. We're absolutely flying through them. So, as you're all aware, this year's theme for National Heritage Week was Connections, Roots and Networks. So the theme of exploring both the visible and the hidden connections we share and the connections that bring us closer together. So this year we have a special award to acknowledge those events that set out to explore the themes of connections, roots and networks in their own unique way. Here are the nominees for this particular award. And the winner of the Connections, Roots and Networks Award is going to Donegal, Mount Charles Heritage Group for their event, From Salt to Stone. Congratulations. You're the winners here today. So let's talk about how the theme, I suppose, inspired your own project. Who wants to take it?
Just say we're kind of overwhelmed. Thank you very much. I suppose really, as we all know, it's our own quiet villages which are the route into history. And so what we did was we took the street of Mount Charles, turned it into an open-air theatre, and took characters from the past, to tell their stories. So the street was full of stonemasons. There was the stories of dressmakers, tailors, rebels, musicians, emigrants, and dreamers. And the children also had been involved in a project with their grandparents, and they told their grandparents' stories. We had Ethna Carberry and Alice Milligan talk about the Gaelic League. And then we had the story of Burton Cunningham, who established the road from Mount Charles to Burton Port in order to build a Georgian town on Rutland Island. So really, there were so many connections. There was the physical connections, historical connections, wonderful community connections, and thank you to all the people in the community who came out and who said yes to doing things. And we think, and we're thrilled that you think as well, that this all wove together in a way that was hopefully as colourful as the warp and weft of Donegal tweed.
I'm guessing, Helen, you were a really important factor in this because obviously, you know, you, I suppose, had a lot of knowledge that you were able to impart as well, and that is vital when it comes to a project that is trying to honour the past. Isn't that right?
That's correct. I have written 2 books on the history of the parish and for parish and history, and I have also done one on the writer she mentioned, Ethna Carberry, who was very involved in the Gaelic League and who was actually a native of Belfast. But when she married the writer Seamus McManus, she came to live in Mount Charles. Her life was brief, of course, but she's buried, and there was no graveyard in Mount Charles at the time, so she's buried in the nearby village of Frosses, where I taught most of my life.
Okay. And I incorrectly said on stage that my dad was stationed. He wasn't. He was actually stationed in Glenties and Burnfoot, but he would have spoken about but he would have said Mount Charles.
Yes, you're correct.
Am I right in that?
Yes, locals would say Mount Charles.
I was always like, Dad, is he saying it wrong? Is it not Mount Charles? But he say Mount Charles. So here we go. Wonderful, congratulations.
Also known as Tauna Catalan for people back home.
Gorgeous, really gorgeous. Well done and congratulations to the Connections, Roots and Networks Award winners, the Mount Charles Heritage Group. Congratulations. Fabulous. Okay, let's meet our runners-up, again in no particular order. First up, we have a journey of discovery from Mount Leinster, County Carlow to Bangor, County Down by the Friends of Columbanus. So congratulations, well done. Well done. Fabulous. And our next runners-up are the Maria Edgeworth Centre for their event, Simulation of R.L. Edgeworth's Pioneering Telegraphic Message from Dublin to Galway, 1803. Congratulations to our deserving winners across all the categories. Now, without a doubt, one of the highlights of the National Heritage Awards is our final award of the morning. It's the Heritage Hero Award. The recipient each year is someone who tirelessly helps to develop the heritage of their own area, who makes it accessible to people through involving the wider community, and who displays an outstanding contribution to the protection and the promotion of heritage. And I would like to call on Amanda Pedlow, the Chair of the Heritage Officer Network and Heritage Officer of County Offaly, who will announce this year's very worthy winner. So please put your hands together for Amanda.
So this year marks 50 years since our winner, James Scully, joined Offaly Historical Society, and his early exploits in Offaly involved a bicycle and colleagues who are in the room today going out exploring many of the sites long before we had the joy of archaeology.ie and the archaeological survey with the 4,000 sites plus recorded for County Offaly. And the work that was done then fed into the survey in years to come, and that record has been valuable. And for me, as Heritage Officer, to have access to the records and the living memories of visiting these sites is hugely important. But James then progressed from his bicycle, which he still cycles round, to walking very much along the length of the whole Grand Canal, which of course cuts the whole way through Offaly. And I think it's fair to say nobody else knows the Grand Canal like James does. He knows every culvert, every water inlet, intake, lock, but probably most importantly, he knows everybody who's connected with the communities the whole way along the length of the canal, talks to them, listens to them, collects the stories, and has travelled to Dublin on countless occasions to read the records of the minute books of the construction of the canal, and then has come back to Offaly and communicated this in numerous lectures, which is not the same lecture, it's tailored depending on which community James is talking to and talking with. However, his interest has extended beyond there to his hometown now associated with Banagher, where he did the most extraordinary research project with Ciarán Keenahan and Owen Broderick on Banagher Bridge through the ages. And again, collaborating is a very strong aspect of how James works. And the presentation on Banagher Bridge had to be moved at the last minute to a very large venue because the venue in Banagher College wasn't big enough for the hundreds of people that turned up, and it was an extraordinary evening of storytelling of how the bridge was built from an engineering and the social perspective between the three collaborators. James then proceeded to go on to do research about the bridges along the Brosna River, which we were delighted to see the project in Ballycumber highlighting today. And we had, I think, 3 cancellations, James, with appalling weather. We persisted. We didn't say, oh, well, luck wasn't our way. And we had a bus tour going to visit all of the bridges along the river at Brosna. And James had planned the entire event and the stories and collaborations on the route. Ciarán Keenahan, who worked with James on the bridge project, has also been a huge partner with James in research, looking into Dorenzi, who is associated with the plantation in West Offaly. I don't know if James knows how many trips they've made to the National Archives in Kew, researching the archives there and bringing the story back to West Offaly, where again, not just did they do the research, but they collaborated on 2 wonderful and very memorable days. We're working with a theatrical approach, bringing the drama to the castles of West Offaly, and anybody who went on those days will never forget them. James has been involved very much more recently. He's always flown the flag for the Bronte connection with Banagher, but this year the new Bronte Association has been formed. A trip was over to Haworth, and there's been a huge amount of energy and enthusiasm. And James told me this morning they have the Heritage event planned for next year, lined up as well to celebrate the Bronte connection in Banagher. James has worked a lot with people on telling stories, and particularly the project in Lusmer for the connection with the Manchester Martyrs was really well told, again collaborating with a huge number of people in Lusmer to tell the whole story of the Manchester Martyrs. James has done a series of publications. Most recently, his publication was on St. Rina's burial ground in Banagher. And look, memorial recording projects are really important, but again, James didn't just accept doing a very high-class publication, he collaborated with a lot of people on doing the recordings and then suggested that a whole range of people would take on one of the persona of the people in the burial ground and come and tell the stories. So there was people there who were from the army, there was nuns, there was a whole range of people from the community who were there representing people who had been buried there and telling their story and bringing it to life. While we are speaking, James's latest publication is at the printers in Offaly, another collaboration with Ciarán Keenan on the famous expression, "That Bates Banagher," which will be out shortly, and we all look forward to that. I think there's an advertisement which will be on television shortly, which many of you will know, that highlights the story of the train coming at Christmas that brought That Bates Banner into all of our sitting rooms. So I think a most welcome award today, and I think that the key element of how James works is that he has researched for a lifetime, communicated, partnered, shared the story, and brought the news and the information to so many community groups. So many community groups collaborate with James, and James is a member of the Heritage Forum in Offaly, so he brings a lot to the Heritage Forum, and then also through his partnership with so many community groups and the fact that he's such a community activist, he brings the news from the Heritage Forum out to others. So we are absolutely delighted to have James Scully as Heritage Hero for 2024.
Before we bring him to the stage, we are going to take a quick look at a wonderful video, I believe. Are we? Are we going to take a look at the video first? We are. So we'll take a look at this video
is an award
first.
which marks the contribution of one individual to heritage protection in Ireland. It's a very prestigious award, and it really acknowledges the important work that volunteers do to protect Ireland's heritage. This year we had an increase in the number of events for Heritage Week, so therefore the competition for the Heritage Hero Award was much greater. The winner this year, James, is a particularly deserving winner because of his contribution over his entire life to the protection of heritage here in County Offaly. I know he's directly associated with the site we're standing in here today, this really important Elizabethan fort, but for this and all his other work and his publications, he has been deemed as the award winner for 2024.
My childhood was in Tullamore on the banks of the canal. And then in later life, I moved on to Banagher, and of course you have the wonderful River Shannon. So I've had inland navigation running through my life. Two books give me great pleasure. One in 1986, with the help of the Banagher INTO, National Teachers Organisation. They funded a book, a local studies book for the top of the primary school. So the chapters that are in that, Napoleonic fortifications, inland waterways, wildfowl, bird watching and so on, castles, big houses and so on. They have dominated my historical interest since the 80s. One of the first things I did when I came to Banagher was to meet with Margaret Barton, who sadly passed away recently, and we became great friends, and we used to spend a lot of time in graveyards recording tombstones. So I eventually got the one in Banagher published during COVID, called Forgotten Souls. That's probably my favourite book. Fort Eliza is a four-gun battery just out the Crank Road in Banagher. I must say, when I drew it to the attention of Cormac McCarthy, the Waterways Ireland Heritage Officer, they didn't realise they own it. When he did, they took ownership in every sense. And we've done a lot of work there. Prior to that, you didn't know what this was. It was just a peculiarly shaped looking building. But now you go in and there's four guns made from Banagher concrete. That's now very well maintained by Waterways Ireland.
James came to Banagher in the late 70s, early 80s. He was actually my national school teacher, and he gave us a great pride of heritage and history. He had us out scraping headstones when we were 9 or 10 years of age, and indeed now we're in our 50s and we're still scraping them for him.
James gives of his time voluntarily. He gets the community involved. He's an action person. A lot of people talk about things, but James says, I can do it.
Not alone has he all the knowledge, but he's able to pass it on with absolutely wonderful enthusiasm, bring everybody along. And I don't think anybody has ever spent a moment in his company that wasn't a worthwhile time spent.
James was my primary school teacher, and that year we were in 5th year, and James wrote a book on looking around, which I still have up in my study in Charlotte's Way. James completely deserves this because it's not yesterday. His passion, his love, his knowledge, his enthusiasm for local history, for the people of the town of Banagher and the surrounding areas.
James Scully has been a friend of Waterways Ireland for many decades. He's been so generous with his time, with his information, and I think one of the most amazing things is that he has this incredible knowledge of the waterways in general, but the Grand Canal in particular, but he has this ability to communicate that information, and he communicates it in a way that it's accessible to everybody. And there's very few people who have that lifetime of research and meticulous detail to the heritage, but also this absolute passion for his place. He's the epitome of a hero, and he doesn't seek attention for any of it. You know, he goes under the radar. So we're absolutely thrilled in Waterways Ireland to be able to give this testimonial for him.
Please be upstanding for our Heritage Hero for 2024, James Scully. James, you're a Heritage Hero for 2024. So deserving, so deserving. Do you want to put one of those down while we chat for a second? Great. Yes, we'll have a quick chat, because it's, you know, that video is beautiful. It's great to hear you speak, but it was also, and I get the feeling you were very moved by what was said about you. So maybe get your thoughts on what it feels like right now. Like,
well, what has really come to me in the past week or so since I knew, it's the number of people that have contacted me and how many years we've gone back over. So it's 50 years and more. And when I look down, I see lifelong friends that have come to me through the camaraderie and company, and above all, the humour of local studies and local heritage.
And I suppose really in life, when we're having those moments of what does it all mean, the impact we have on others is our greatest contribution. And you have contributed in such a powerful way. You know, you're leaving such a strong legacy and a body of work that will live on for many, many years. And that's what this particular award is all about, and the entire event today is all about celebrating the importance of that, isn't it?
It is, and it's a great honour for me to do so. I think what I enjoy most of all is, as I mentioned the word camaraderie, and I was utterly delighted with the Mount Charles idea. I love this idea of reenacting history, of bringing people into the graveyard to become the nuns who died in 1845 and 1847, to become William Bamford, the little-known, magnificent watercolourist and sort of military fortification draftsman. These people were sort of lying there unknown, and then we bring them back to life. It's, as I call it, an encounter with the faithful departed. And it's something that any community can do. There are heroes in every graveyard that need to be brought back to life. So I would recommend that. And if that's a bit too sophisticated for you, I think another great formula for dramatising local history is what I call the Sunday Miscellany formula. Just 6 readings, 6 pieces of music. And then, of course, as we have done in Banagher with the Banagher Bronte group, the Patrick's Day Parade. 25 people dressing up as all the Brontes, all their connections, and all their Banagher contemporaries, making their own costumes, writing their own scripts, with collaborating with others. And it just brings the whole thing to life, and there's great.
And isn't that the key to it, that collaboration, that sense of community and connection? Because, you know, you have been doing incredible work, but it's not in isolation. While a lot of your work is a solitary thing, you are also inviting people along, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I was very lucky that my main interest was the Grand Canal in County Offaly. So it wasn't one specific locale. It was from Edenderry to Dangan to Tullamore to Rahan to Pulla to Gillen, Ferban to Belmont, and on to glorious Shannon Harbour, and then on to Banagher, because, well, you can't beat Banagher, you know.
Absolutely not. Please be on your feet for our Heritage Hero for 2024, the wonderful James Scully. James would like to acknowledge a number of people.
Well, there was Bawatlam Buikas Agawad, the Mavan Kayla Carmel, Drifur Moira, Mavukali Owen, Kieran Agazena, and Gahorhe Maclan Fain, a Bohor Clun Tarif, a Dolakwar, Ta Mihal Agazania Heastonchin. So. I hope what I was saying there was thanks to Carmel and my sister-in-law Mary and my sons, Kieran, Owen, Kieran and Enda, and Bawatlam Lanaraig, Bawatlam Buikas Freshener Gawal, the Muncher Ufalia, Tommy Eglacha on Cornshaw, our son on Conde. Gaharahe, Mihala Bryn, Os Common Stara Ufalia, agus Amanda Pedlo, agus Karen Gray, as on Ufig Irakta Sakorla Conde. Thanks to Mike Byrne. Both of us joined the Offaly History the same evening. I think we walked into a hall in Tullamore when some old heads wheeled round and said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Is this the History Society?" They said, "Yes." It was only a matter of months later we were officers and so on. Anyway, so thanks to Amanda Pedlo and Karen Gray, and as I say, it's a wonderful honour. It's given me great pleasure, but it's for Offaly. Yeah. Up Offaly. And you can't bait Banagher because Banagher baits the devil.
Love it. Well done, James. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, and now to conclude our ceremony, we'd like to welcome Martina Maloney, the chairperson of the Heritage Council, to close our morning event with a few words. So please put your hands together for Martina.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hasn't it been a most wonderful and uplifting event today? The energy, enthusiasm, passion and excitement that we've seen in all the presentations we've had today from the various communities has been just so fantastic. Tá siad frívlóid a gom bheith live inniu, chun ceiliúr a dhéanamh an ról tábhachtach tá gaibh fad ag cíntu go bhfuil naireacht slán. Ag féchint an na tionscadáil agus na himachtaí teaspáint I rinne hócáide seo inniuh, táim cínte nach bhfuil buil bé tauchaí na haireachta sa tír seo. I think in the day that we have, it's important to acknowledge that everybody in this room has contributed to what was a wonderful Heritage Week in 2024. And I think the range of activities that we've seen covered here mean that every dimension of the wonderful and rich heritage we have in this country are covered and are vibrant throughout the country. We're very lucky today to be in this wonderful venue here, provided to us by IMA, for this event. And I think it's important for us to be able to acknowledge what is our rich and special history and heritage. And when we look around this room, we can see the craftsmanship that was inherent in the people of Ireland in the past. And I think what we've seen today is that vibrancy and creativity is still alive and well and living throughout the country. The theme of Heritage Week this year around connections, roots and networks, to be honest, when I saw it first, I was saying, what is this going to throw up? But I said the creativity and the enthusiasm that people took on that theme with has been just wonderful. And one of the runners up here today that took that theme and turned it into the connection of smells that were important to us, and the smells of Athenry and what smell means to people. I thought it was just such a creative solution to look at that particular theme. Today is a day for us as a heritage sector to come together, to enjoy, to celebrate, to take stock, to learn from one another. And I think James's few words there give a lot of new ideas for what people might do, I think, in the 2025 Heritage Week. And it gives us the opportunity to explore the synergies and to build new relationships. And it is particularly gratifying for us in the Heritage Council to see that happening here today. While the Heritage Council manages Heritage Week, it is actually the vibrancy of the communities and enthusiasm of organisers and volunteers that really make it happen. It's the celebration of every dimension of our heritage, whether it's built, natural, cultural, oral history, all the different dimensions of it. And it's a real bottom-up exercise in that communities get to identify what they see as important for them in their place. I look at the event in Mount Charles that has been already referred to. It is just heartening to see the pride in the community for their local heritage and the intergenerational activities that took place there. And when you see this, heritage is for everybody. It's from the toddlers to the 80-somethings and 90-something-year-olds. And I think that is just fantastic. In Mount Charles, they have identified the connections in their village. They've demonstrated the richness and variety of their heritage. And I think it is so wonderful to see that happening throughout the country. This year was an important year for us because we had the inaugural Mícheál Murchortaí Gradam Dúchas. And I think it behoved us as the Heritage Council, when Mícheál passed away, unfortunately, to mark him, because I think he was an icon in the context of Irish heritage in all its dimensions. And when Virginia brought the idea to us of instituting an award in his name, we were really delighted to do that. That particular award, I suppose, identifies what is really special to people throughout their particular place. It can encapsulate everything from storytelling to personal connections, to passing on of the generational traditions, spending time with older people to learn about their lives, our GAA and our language. And throughout his life, Mícheál embodied these cultural traditions and touchstones. Every year, groups and individuals across the country demonstrate their own commitments to these values, as it is evident here today. And I want to formally put on the record our appreciation to the O'Murchortaí family for allowing us to do this in his name. While the heritage, I look at the work done by so many communities in the area of sustainability and climate heritage. And I think it's such an important priority for us in the Heritage Council, for us as a society and for us as a people, to look at the interaction between heritage and climate. And the Cuan Bio project in County Galway really demonstrated the value that can be placed in community organisations coming together to showcase this particular dimension of heritage. And I suppose it's also heartening to see that project being led by very young people and their involvement in so many of the projects throughout the country. It means that our heritage into the future is secure. There were over 2,300 events for Heritage Week 2024. So I'm very privileged to be here with the people who are acknowledged today as being the top events providers during that. Whether you're the overall award winner or a runner-up, you have an awful lot to be proud of. And indeed, all those 2,300 events throughout the country provided really good insights into heritage, and I applaud all those who were involved in giving their time and energy and creativity and imagination to delivering heritage events in their own communities. Today, it's our chance to say thank you for the outstanding work that all of you have done, your collective effort of all participants in Heritage Week 2024. The awards themselves, I suppose, identify the value and focus for Heritage Week each year, and this year is no different. We're always seeking to broaden the scope to include a greater variety of people, and I think we've been successful in that this year with the victory for the Cork Traveller Women's Network, and we need to see more traveller-led and minority-led heritage events like this happening throughout the country. Ní bháin sin ach tá an randam Gaeilge ag dul go cúnta muoineachán an ocht, agus is mór atá sé tilte acu. Tá sé ar inti na going an Gael leis an pobl na Gaeilge a ládrú a ríis an bhliain se chuain. Each year we have the County Heritage Award, and this is an opportunity to give further recognition to those who took part, who took time to get involved in their own local heritage, and we recognise their efforts and enthusiasm as well. I want to congratulate the recipients in each county for their achievement. Congratulations to all involved. And I suppose today we have to acknowledge the help we get from a lot of people. The Heritage Council is quite a small organisation, and we depend on partnerships with our award sponsors and indeed with the staff of local authorities throughout the country who help and support us during Heritage Week. I particularly want to acknowledge the work done by the Heritage and Biodiversity officers and the teams in the Heritage Service in local authorities, without whose assistance communities may not be able to deliver on the quality of event that they have. And I know I was speaking to one of them today, and they've almost doubled the number of events in their county for Heritage Week. I think that's a wonderful achievement. I also want to acknowledge the support we've had from the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, and in particular the Ministers O'Brien and Noonan, without whose support we couldn't continue to operate and to facilitate you doing the wonderful work you do. Finally, a word of thanks to my colleagues in the Heritage Council today. Thank you to Ronan Healy, Martina Malone, Pierce O'Keefe and the other Heritage Council staff here today, Susan, Kathy and Tara. Bhfuil mo bhuichas agus mo cóáras go gháil dóibh go léir. Cuinigí oribh leis an obair úntach atá a dhéanamh trí na tíre a gcuibh, agus le cúnamh dé be mé de reis a ríis sa bhliain seo chuain. Go raibh míle maith a gcuibh.
Míle maith Martina, such a wonderful close there. We had the beautiful address at the beginning from Virginia and then Martina there, and they've just said it all perfectly. So thank you all for being here, for attending and being part of the special event. And everybody who tuned in as well online, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope to see you again next year at the National Heritage Week event. So gur míle maithagaí a log, agus cosí an bhliain seo hagainn, slán agus beannacht. Gur míle maithagaí. And of course, if you want to stay around, we're going to be serving lunch in that wonderful room that you came through from the reception. So enjoy, and thanks a million.